line is cat. Shout out to Hello Yasin, and most importantly, Mohsen, shout out to y'all for tapping in. This video is she refused to snitch and went to prison for it. We ain't gonna talk too much, so without further ado, we gonna get straight into the video.
Of snitching, telling, whatever you want to call it, is at the forefront of hip-hop right now. But it reminded me of an event 2 decades ago. In 2001, Lil' Kim found herself caught in a shootout in Manhattan, with 20 bullets flying from both sides. The shootout was brought to court, and Lil' Kim was asked to testify under oath and could end up in prison if she failed to tell the truth. But while facing a federal grand jury, something crazy happened. One of the most legendary beefs in hip-hop was between Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown, both of which even went to the same high school together. The tension primarily came from their membership of 2 rival groups. Lil' Kim was with Junior Mafia, whereas Foxy Brown was with The Firm. In February of 2001, Lil' Kim did an interview with Hot 97. She was leaving the building and was accompanied by her manager D-Rock and her bodyguard. The doors of Hot 97 regularly have...
When they say D-Rock, they talking about Biggie Homeboy?
Famous rappers crossing paths. And Lil' Kim found herself walking past Capone and Nori, both of which were affiliated with Foxy Brown. They had a song called Bang Bang, which featured Foxy taking shots at Lil' Kim. A back and forth of words were exchanged, but this sadly escalated into a shootout. One man in Capone and Nori's entourage was wounded, but thankfully that was the height of it. The police arrived, and Lil' Kim's manager and her bodyguard were taken to court for weapons charges, and Kim was taken to the stand as a witness. She was, after all, on the radio just before this all happened. However, in front of a federal grand jury, she told the courtroom that her bodyguard and manager were not there that night. She had covered for her friends and refused to snitch. This was clearly a risk she was willing to take and suffer the consequences. And hopefully, so long as everyone didn't tell the police anything, she assumed she was safe. But unfortunately for Kim, there was video footage from that night of Lil' Kim's manager opening the door for her, the people that she said she didn't know. Standing beside them was also her bodyguard, who she claimed wasn't with her either. There was indisputable evidence that Kim had committed perjury, or lied in court under oath. She was charged with conspiracy to commit perjury, making false statements, and obstructing justice. The worst case scenario for her now was 20 years behind bars. This behavior was far from the norm, and for Lil' Kim, especially as a woman, it was particularly unbelievable even today. Snitching is something that's traditionally viewed as gang activity, usually the most common being men that are involved in it. So it's a real upfront thing for Lil' Kim to...
Honestly, when I think when it comes to snitching, because everybody, I can't say everybody, but because a lot of people glorify the streets, it comes to a point of that nobody could snitch or nobody could freaking, you know what I'm saying? Like basically, even if you're a civilian or whatever you want to call it, like you can't snitch, like because the streets is so glorified, and this, I think it's stupid, to be honest. Like, unless you really live that lifestyle, that's the only reason why I should say you shouldn't snitch, because like you signed up for something and you pushing that lifestyle. So it's like set an example that once you step into the streets, you got to accept what comes with it, which is probably going to be you get locked up and have to do a lot of time, and you can't tell on nobody because this is what you signed up for. Now, as far as civilians, I only really consider it snitching unless it like had like literally nothing to, like if it had nothing to do with you and you just decided to volunteer and go in the courtroom and telling somebody you don't even know for like literally no reason, then that's kind of snitching to me. It may sound stupid, but that's what I consider snitching, because it's like that was not really none of your business. Now, if something happened to you and you a civilian, you ain't got nothing to do with nothing, you wasn't instigating nothing, I don't consider that snitching, really, to be honest. But that's just my opinion, once again.
To what some people may consider dumb, but very attuned to her value system, for her to really take one on the chin and not tell on anybody. It's incredibly ironic, too, that the most manly person around this whole event was a woman. I mean, what is snitching exactly? Not to go into it too much, but usually it refers to someone going to the police to report or tell something on someone that was accompanying them during a crime, and then they sell them out so they don't serve any time or get a reduced sentence. It's more become
That's what I consider
colloquially known
snitching.
as, hey, this person shouldn't be talking to police because they're involved in gang or street life, and giving them any type of statements that could lead any investigation forward would also be telling. Lil C's, though, was Biggie's hype man and a respected member of Junior Mafia, but when he was testifying in Kim's perjury trial, he had a falling out with Kim. Lil C's told MTV at the time, me and Kim wasn't on good terms for the moment, and she made it clear to the world that she didn't want to have anything to do with me and my peoples, so she wasn't trying to call us to her defense. Being that we was witnesses there, the US government subpoenaed us, and there's nothing you can do about that. When you're subpoenaed, you either come or they take your ass to jail. It's just that simple. So Lil C simply told the court what happened and proved that Lil Kim had committed perjury. And Lil C's argued that the same thing could have happened to him if he didn't tell the truth. He said, these federal people knew everything. They had phone taps. They had the video cameras from the shooting at Hot 97. They had that all on tape. 2 weeks after Lil C's testified and 2 months before Lil Kim was scheduled for her prison sentence, she decided to hit back. She filed a $6 million civil lawsuit against Lil C's for using her image without her permission in an upcoming DVD, The Chronicles of Junior Mafia, Part 2, Reloaded. Without getting Kim's permission, this constituted false advertising and false endorsement. C's had also allegedly tried to stage interviews with other Junior Mafia members about Kim's trial. It was Lil Kim's way of getting back at him and letting him know what she thought of him. Lil C's maintained his position that he's not a snitch and said that Kim should have gone for a plea bargain. This is when, instead
So
of doing a trial in
he
front of...
he I know he also spoke about this on Math Hoffa platform. So do y'all consider him a snitch or not? Like, I remember I did a video similar to this when it was Foxy Brown versus Lil Kim and all that. Some people in the comments was like, nah, he didn't snitch, that's not true. But I don't know, because I don't really know what to consider this. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below.
the jury, you plead guilty up front and receive a much more lenient sentence. The fact that Lil Kim brought this to a trial too shows that she must have had confidence or delusion in her case and her lawyer, and she probably did have a good lawyer because she only ended up getting 1 year in prison. But perhaps more importantly, she came out of prison with her integrity completely intact. There was nothing anyone could say to throw dirt on her name. Snitching is something that could, or at one point, ruined your rap career and possibly put you in harm's way. But it doesn't seem to be the case anymore with a couple of other people who have been exposed for telling as of late. When we think of a rapper telling, the first person who comes into mind now is Tekashi 6ix9ine. He admitted to the federal government that he was a member of the 9 Trey gang who would rob people at gunpoint, and cooperating with the law, taking the stand, he could basically buy back his entire life. He was initially expecting up to 47 years behind bars, and then managed to cut that down to 2. Yes, it was supposed to affect his safety outside, to which people thought he would go into witness protection, but that wasn't the case. Did it affect his music career? Yes, but he obviously preferred it over 5 decades behind bars. And some people are even bringing up the argument now that perhaps it wasn't the fact that he told that ruined his music career, but the fact that people didn't like him and he told, because that brings a connection to the next individual, which is Gunna. In the eyes of the people, a more debate.
When it comes to that with 6ix9ine, I think it was personally that, like, I'm gonna keep it a band. Like, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. Like, at first, I liked his music. He started out cool, and then it's like he started, I don't know his real lifestyle, but he started portraying like a whole different gangster image and telling everybody like suck my dick and all this and all that. And it's like that's not what people was looking for, because everybody was already jacking him, everybody was already rocking with him. Producers, labels, artists, everybody was already rocking with him. So it was like the gangster image wasn't really needed, and then he pushed that in there and started disrespecting people's favorite artists. So it was like you kind of mess yourself up there. So it's like you putting out this gangster image and moving like you was untouchable. So now everybody want to see something happen to you. So it's like once you got in that situation, people took the opportunity to feel how they feel even stronger. That's just my opinion on the situation.
Relatable example of telling comes from him. Unlike Lil Kim,
Yeah,
he
he's
went
gonna
down the
tell.
plea deal route and has had mixed results. As you probably know, most of the artists on the YSL label have been arrested for RICO charges or racketeering, but Gunna seems to have been given preferential treatment. Being the first one to take a plea, a bunch of people have put two and two together and believe that he cooperated with law enforcement. Even the video footage is out there. He got
Yes,
500
ma'am.
hours of community service where he'll talk to kids about the dangers of gang violence, which is clearly way better than being locked up.
Yeah.
The video that released of Gunna was him answering questions and telling a judge that he knew that YSL was more than just a music label and a gang that needed to end. And most people consider any form of cooperation with
What makes it look bad is didn't somebody come out from a label to basically talk on YSL's behalf and Young Thug's behalf and say that they wasn't a gang and all that, and that they was literally like they was legally a label. And then I think people consider it snitching because then you got Gunna that did this and basically say, yeah, we a gang, we a label too, and all this. So it makes the person that came out from actual label, not saying YSL is not an actual label, but that a person that came out from an actual label to speak on y'all behalf to say that y'all wasn't a gang to help y'all out, and then you do the reverse and undo all his work by saying yes y'all are.
law enforcement as snitching, but Gunna claims that this was not the case. He's saying that through his plea deal route, or the team around him, is that everything Gunna told the court was not testimony, and his statements in this court can't be used as evidence for anything else. So, supposedly, Gunna's response to these questions doesn't affect the trials of other members of YSL, but he is a state's witness, and if they do go to court, he has to get on the stand and tell the truth. Otherwise, he'll face the same fate as Lil Kim. But to put Lil Kim's refusal to tell in a better perspective, let's take an example of another female rapper who was being accused of telling, Megan Thee Stallion. She was driving home from a party with Tory Lanez. At some point, Tory is found guilty of allegedly shooting her in both feet. The police arrived and she said she lied to the police that it wasn't Tory to protect him. However, she was changing her mind through social media, eventually telling people that he did shoot her, and then when she ended up showing to the court case to testify, Megan Thee Stallion seems to draw the line at the same spot that Lil C's does. She was happy to lie to the police on the scene, but on social media and later on in front of a packed courtroom where her word could be held against her, she decided to tell the truth. And this has received mixed responses. A lot of the report for Megan Thee Stallion argues that she's a citizen, which Lil Kim was in the same way. If you're not a part of a criminal gang or not a part of the crime, then the laws of snitching don't apply. This very argument came from Whack 100, who posted a picture on Instagram.
With Lil Kim, it's like it's the people that she hung around that probably brung her to an influence to not snitch, because like she wouldn't be accepted because like people around her, especially at that time, was mostly street. So it's like they wouldn't want her around knowing that she'll be willing to snitch so easily. Like that's what I feel.
Which read, Megan Thee Stallion is a civilian. She can't be classified as a snitch. Civilians tell the truth. He interestingly captioned the picture with, my daughter is raised the same way, hashtag not guilty, stop trying to enforce ice hockey rules on a kickball field, which is a fair take from someone who's actually involved in that lifestyle. But perhaps things are just different now. When Lil Kim was coming up, she wanted to be seen on the same level and playing field as other men, both creatively, artistically, rapping ability, and being able to hold her own on things outside of the music. There were incredibly few female rappers around when she came up, so she fought long and hard to give female rappers the respect and credit that they get today. So Lil Kim perhaps didn't see herself as a citizen that was separate from what was happening, and she'd rather lie and potentially risk prison so people didn't think any differently. 16 years from those courtroom dramas though, Lil Kim and Lil C's met once again, and under better circumstances. They were both celebrating what would have been the 47th birthday of their former close friend, Biggie Smalls. Lil C's apologized to Lil Kim, and they buried the hatchet. Hip hop is often defined by beefs and moments of conflict, but this was a beautiful moment of old friends reconnecting. Despite her having the right to not accept his apology, considering it helped land her in prison. Lil Kim's place has been firmly cemented in hip hop history for her contribution to rap and fashion, but she should also go down as the female rapper who never snitched in the face of a lot of time, 20 years, when
Yeah,
we have male rappers who claim to be gangsters that
who
are telling.
folded in 2 months. Man, that's gonna wrap up this video. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. With that being said, I appreciate y'all for all the love and support. Love is love. Shout out to Lil Kim, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video.